Okay, I'm just setting up the live stream. Please bear with me. Taking a bit longer than normal. Shouldn't take too much longer, honest. Okay. So I'm just putting up the stream on a second screen, but the laptop that the second screen is on has decided it doesn't like the internet anymore, but I've just had to reconnect it and restart the browser. Okay, I think we're good now. So, we are going to do a flight exploring Tasmania. If I show you it on Navigraph, we're starting out at Smithton, up in the northwest, and then we're going to go down to Wynyard, and then down to Devonport, so we're going to follow the coast basically for a while, to Georgetown, down to Launceston, and then down to Cambridge. We may end at Launceston. It depends how late it gets, how tired I get, how many mistakes I make, or if the simulator goes wrong. But we'll do our best. We'll see how we get on. So, I have filed a flight plan in the flight planner in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So this is on planner.flightsimulator.com. So I should be able to save this, and we'll call it the Tasmania tour, and save the plan. And that should allow us to load it straight into the tablet in the aeroplane when we get that far. So let's go and press Shift and C. And we're going to start out by getting the aeroplane ready, as we normally have to these days. So I've only actually flown the Titan once or twice for career mode and to help write up some documentation for it. So if you've not seen it, I wrote a guide to starting the Titan up from cold and dark, because nobody had done anything for it. So here we are. So this is Smithton, by the way, in Tasmania. It's a nice little airfield. And every airfield looks nice in 2024, doesn't it? So we're going to go and press Shift and C to get inside the aeroplane. It's refreshingly old school, which I really like. So to get this thing up and running, we're going to go and switch the fuel over to main on both sides. It's a good point, actually. Do we get a tablet in the aeroplane, or do we have to go? No, we have to just pull up the dialogue. So if we go in here, we can load flight plan, and we can select our Tasmania tour, and that will give us the map here. But it may, we'll have a look. We'll come back into here, because at the bottom of the route plan, you can send it to the Avionics, which will shortcut populating the GNS 530, which will be a nice advantage to have. Okay, so this is very similar to the 414, the Chancellor, that was available for 2020, but it's older than the Chancellor, so it's a little bit more basic. So we're going to go and turn the batteries on, then we're going to go and turn the alternators on, and we'll put the nav lights, anti-collision lights. There's no label, I'm guessing that's the beacon. Should we have a look outside and see if we get anything flashing? Can anybody see anything flashing? Can't spot anything. Anyway, not going to get too worried about it. We won't do the pitot heats just yet. We'll just check that there's no breakers popped out, is there? It's a similar, so I'm just seeing, looking at the live stream comments, it's going to be a similar deal to last night. in terms of the actual stream. We're just in Tasmania, not in Australia, and hopefully, yes, the internet won't die on us. So we'll put the mags on for the right engine, and we'll run the primer for the right engine for a few seconds. And we do need to go and advance the mixture to rich, and propellers can both go to high RPM and crack the throttles open, and we've got one engine up and running. So then we'll just notice they've got the engine's actually running. It's just tremendously quiet once it's up and running. I think Asobo have done a bit of a number on that. So we finished priming the left engine, so we should be able to just advance the mags, and we get the left engine up and running. So they haven't really sequenced the sound very nicely. It's just tremendously quiet. Asobo tend to do that with aeroplanes. I'm not sure why. So I've got it set to maximum volume, but it's very quiet, isn't it? So we're looking to run the engines up at about 1000 RPM. So let's increase the throttle gently, just while they warm up. And while we're doing that, we can go and put the avionics bus on, and that will turn on the GPSs. We'll go and put the transponder on as well, put it onto standby for the moment. We'll put the weather radar onto standby as well. So we'll obviously be ready for this when if we use flight following, we'll need it, otherwise we won't. But it'd be interesting to see if we can pull up the tab and fill this up with a flight plan instantly, which will be good fun. Let's go and calibrate the altimeters while we're here. So I just pressed comma to shortcut that. So we're just capturing the satellites on the GPS. Who remembers GPSs that were this slow at capturing satellites? People who use mobile phones these days that get an almost instant GPS connection don't know they were born, do they? I had a handheld walking GPS years ago. It used to take it about 2 minutes to get the satellites. Okay, so Martin on the live stream is saying he's finally bought the citation for his VIP company. Very cool. So I have both the King Air and the citation now, and know there's going to be a steep learning curve. The citation's fine. I haven't actually done a video with it in 2024 yet, have I? I ought to do that. So we're just waiting for the satellites to acquire. They're slowly appearing. Look, it's nice how it simulates the signal strength from the satellites and plots them around you. So it's capturing them and choosing them. Look, when you get enough satellites, it can triangulate, and then it pretends that it knows where you are. Of course, in reality, it knows where you are anyway. It's just a nice little feature, isn't it? There we go. So if we go to, well, actually we'll see a magenta line appear on there if it's going to work. So let's increase the range, and we want to go tab, don't we, to pull up the flight plan, and we'll send it to the avionics, and yeah, that works. That's really good. So by doing it that way, I was able to borrow the text description of the route from LittleNavMap by copying it to the clipboard, and then come into planner.flightsimulator.com, and on the route just paste it into here, and it turned it into the route on the map, and then I was able to save it, and then I could load it straight into the aeroplane, into the tablet. So if you've got a fiddly route, it's probably a quicker way of doing it. Okay, so I have something rather fun to show everybody that happened overnight. So I got an email this morning. In SayIntentions now, if you go into the intercom section, one of the mentors is me. I gave them 15 minutes worth of me talking from previous videos, and they've made a version of me driven by AI. The scary thing is I can now talk to myself while I'm flying, and the pretend me knows far more than the real me, which is quite disconcerting. I'm going to have multiple personality disorder, I think, if I use this. So I can show you how it works. If I go and talk to myself. Hello, Jonathan. How are you doing? Give him a few seconds and he'll come back.
I'm doing great, thanks for asking. Let's focus on flying and improving our skills. Is there anything specific you want to discuss about the flight or aircraft?
Sorry, I'm going to change the voice because that's just going to be too strange to have myself on hand to answer questions. Like I said, I'll have a huge mental breakdown probably. So we'll go to mentor and we'll go for who should we go for? Professional, real sim gear. Chance from sim gear. He's got a great voice. And we'll just minimise that out of the way for the moment. Actually, shall we? So we've got CTAF, so that's Common Traffic Advisory Frequency. We've also got centre. If we go and pull up the sectors, and if we just hover the mouse, it will tell us what sector we're in. Or it should do. Famous last words. There we go. So, Continental Australia, Melbourne. So we're in Melbourne Area Control Centre. That's interesting. So you can also see that here. If I make this a bit bigger in LittleNavMap, this is something that LittleNavMap does really nicely. Is show you the airspaces that you are in. So there's actually a number of airspaces that overlap at different altitudes, obviously. So you can see in here the altitude ranges they are between. So yeah, you've got the Melbourne centre here. So if we go and look in SayIntentions, we can see there's a centre frequency. Does that correlate with any of these? So what I might do is use CTAF to take off, then go to centre and request flight following when we're in the air, just to see how it works and see if it picks us up okay. Okay, so we had this on standby, didn't we? So let's go and put it to on the weather radar, which will probably irradiate anybody in front of us. We'll put the transponder on. And what else do we need to think about? We'll put the stall and pitot heat on now. We're going to taxi straight out and take off anyway. Taxi lights on. So let's go and put head tracking on. So we're going to turn around. So it's Common Traffic Advisory Frequency we're going to be using, isn't it? So if we go and tune into that, just for takeoff. Which runway would we be going for? So we're at Smithton, and the wind is from the east, 20 knots, so we'll be going runway 06. So we're going to taxi straight out down to the south and then backtrack to runway 06. So our call sign today, have we got it written on here? Yeah, it's Romeo Charlie Lima. So Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima taxiing at Smithton to runway 06. So on the Common Traffic Advisory Frequency, you're really just broadcasting what you're doing. You're not talking to a controller. Try not to hit the people too badly. So is that the taxiway over there? I believe it is. Yeah, there we go. Look, you see us making our way around. So I just want to try it. I'm always trying different things out. You know that. So yeah, we'll take off and we'll circle the airfield, and then I'll try calling centre and request flight following. So this is really cool. Look, they've got the high resolution ground textures, with it being a rural airfield. So we look at this from outside. Are we getting dust kicked up or not? No, not at the moment. I have to be careful though. I don't want to go too fast over these bumps. It might actually be safer to go over the grass, you know. Look at it bumping around. Be very careful. I bet the propellers are almost touching the stones. So should we say hello to the... Was it Vance we had in the cockpit with us? Hi Vance, how you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks. Let's focus on flying. Do you have any questions about the aircraft or our current flight?
What's the history of the Cessna 404 Titan?
The Cessna 404 Titan is a light twin-engine aircraft that was first introduced in the 1970s. It was designed primarily for the general aviation market and is known for its versatility and reliability. The Titan features a spacious cabin and can be used for various purposes, including cargo transport and passenger flights. Its robust design and performance capabilities have made it a popular choice among private pilots and small charter operations. If you're interested, I can share more about its operational characteristics or maintenance tips.
No, that's good for now, thank you.
You're welcome. If you think of any more questions or need tips during the flight, just let me know. Keep flying confidently.
Okay. So we need to backtrack to 06. It's remarkably quiet in the cockpit, isn't it? It won't be once we get the engines up and running. So should we try calling centre before we depart, just to see, so we've got time on the ground to think about it? We'll line up on the runway and then call Melbourne Centre and see what they say. It's actually quite a big runway, isn't it? Okay, so if we go for a centre frequency, and we'll try it, see what happens. Melbourne Centre, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima departing Smithton runway 6, requesting VFR with flight following to Cambridge. Are they going to be there?
Cirrus Quebec Mike Charlie, on departure, maintain VFR at or below 1500 feet. Departure on 125.55, squawk 3134.
Should we read that back to them? On departure, maintain VFR at or below 1500 feet. Departure on 125.55, squawk 3134. Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima. So that's working. So we can stay on Melbourne Centre throughout. That would make it really easy. So we will need to change our squawk on the transponder then to 3134. So 3134. And we need to go and set our target altitude. Do we have an altitude pre-selector in this? I don't know that we do actually. We're just going to have to keep an eye on the altitude while we're flying. There's a very, very basic autopilot look. So there's a master on-off switch. That is not a switch, by the way, that's an indicator. So that shows the mode that the autopilot's in. But I think heading mode and stuff like that should work. That's interesting. Why is it not? We'll see what happens once we get up and running. But if we have to hand fly, we have to hand fly. It doesn't really matter. So our first leg, just for interest's sake, is going to be 31 miles. And what was the course on it? 25 degrees or something like that. So we'll go and spin the course round. I'm not sure that all of the instruments work on all of these new aeroplanes, but we'll find out along the way. Have we got any VORs? There's an ADF beacon there. Or non-directional beacon, I should say. Yeah, there's only really Launceston down there, so we'll go by GPS, that's fine. So we're already on GPS mode. So, off we go. So we can't go higher than 1,500 feet, remember. Nose, and we're up. Shall we look at the gear retraction, see what it looks like? So as we said, we're just going to follow the coast for this first part of the journey anyway. So going out towards the coast, if we follow the coastline, our first...
Quebec Mike Charlie, radar contact. Over Smithton Airport at 600 feet. Heading 060, QNH 1016.
Confirm radar contact, Romeo Charlie Lima.
Quebec Mike Charlie, radar contact. Over Smithton Airport at 600 feet.
Causes the AI to repeat it back.
QNH 1016.
So usually on an informational broadcast like that, you don't need to actually respond. Again, I'm testing things as I go to see what will happen a lot of the time. Because it's AI, it's not a human. A human would probably have rolled their eyes at that and maybe said no confirmation required, or pulled me up for it. Okay, so let's go and have a look at pulling the RPM back and put the power to about 27. There we go. So we should have a nice gentle trip across the countryside. Doing about 160 knots. It's a pretty quick aeroplane, isn't it? Got a beautiful day for the flight. So with it being this bit quicker than things I've flown recently, yeah, getting down to Cambridge isn't going to be such a big deal. It's about 200 miles if we do all the touch and goes, but obviously we'll be slowing down to do touch and goes if we choose to. If we stay on centre all the way, then we'll just inform them that we're going to do a touch and go at each airport. And then they'll request us to, let them know when we've done our touch and go. So we'll just call them when we're downwind. Again, you're not asking them, you're telling them most of the time. Because we're flight following. So, Martin is saying, Jonathan, oh, what's that button? And pushes it. Pilot, that's the empty latrine button. Oh dear. So what have we got on with the lights? We've got the stall and pitot heat on. Just checking what we've got switched on and what we haven't. Yeah, I think we're good. It helps if you look where you're going. We just need to make sure we stay below 1,500 feet, which I think we were above for a few minutes there, but we didn't get told off, did we? Okay, so what's this area called? Let's ask the mentor. Oh, actually, should we change to a tour guide with SayIntentions? Because they're usually quite interesting, aren't they? So if we go to intercom, instead of having a mentor, we will have a tour guide, and we'll choose Sarah. And OK, and minimize it. So where are we flying over at the moment that we can ask her about? Rocky Cape. Or let's ask her a more general question. Hi Sarah, can you tell us about the north coast of Tasmania?
The north coast of Tasmania is known for its stunning landscapes, featuring beautiful beaches, rugged cliffs, and lush forests. It's a popular spot for outdoor enthusiasts, offering activities like hiking, fishing, and surfing. The area is also home to charming towns like Devonport and Burnie, where you can experience local culture and cuisine. The coastline is dotted with scenic lookouts, making it a photographer's paradise. Plus, the north coast is rich in wildlife, so keep an eye out for unique Australian animals.
Let's test this out a bit. What's your favourite place to visit on the north coast?
One of my favorite places to visit on the north coast is the stunning Bay of Fires. It's famous for its crystal clear waters, white sandy beaches, and striking orange lichen-covered rocks. The area is perfect for swimming, snorkeling, and beachcombing. Plus, there are some great walking trails that offer breathtaking views of the coastline. Legend has it that the name Bay of Fires was given by Captain Tobias Furneaux in 1773 after he saw the fires of the Aboriginal people along the shore. It's a magical spot that truly captures the beauty of Tasmania.
It's very clever, isn't it? Someone in the live stream was saying, can they... Oh, it's Lee. He wants Sarah's phone number. It's probably the phone number of a data centre, though. Should we come down along the coast and have a look at this little... Oh, we've got a limiter on the throttle then. Okay, that's good to know. So if we... That's a reminder to put the gear down when you pull the throttle back too much. What's the best restaurant around here? See, if I say around here, I'm guessing she will figure out where we are.
I'm here to share interesting landmarks and sites, not restaurants. But if you want to know about a great natural feature nearby, just let me know.
Okay, that put me in my place, didn't it? Okay, so if we rotate the page around here, we can get some data on the GNS 430. So we've got the 530 up here. We can get a compass rose version of this. and then show the data down below, and this shows both actually. So we've got 13 miles to run until the next airport. It's gorgeous around here, isn't it? So I think I'm only listed at the moment as a mentor. They haven't added me as anything else yet. But we can always try it. If I go and put myself on. This is quite amusing, isn't it? So intercom, let's go for mentors and put myself in and OK. So what are we going to ask me as a mentor? Bearing in mind, I know more than I do. What are some of the most common problems with the 404 Titan?
The 404 Titan is a solid aircraft, but like any machine, it can have its quirks. Common issues include electrical system failures, fuel system problems, and occasional engine performance inconsistencies. Regular maintenance and thorough pre-flight checks can help mitigate these issues. Do you want to dive into any specific area?
This is not the conversation to have, is it, while you're flying the aeroplane? This is a bit like looking up health problems on the internet. I must say, though, I sounded very knowledgeable. Oh dear. The trouble is now people are going to be approaching me on the internet saying, you know that advice you gave me? And I say, no? I wonder if it can do basic maths for us. Let's think up a question. If we can average 180 knots, how far will we get in 1 hour? I mean, that's an obvious one, but let's see if it will do it.
If you average 180 knots, you would cover 180 nautical miles in 1 hour. That's a great speed for efficient travel.
So it will do maths for you. That's really, actually that could be really interesting. Because you could get it to do, I'm guessing, let's try something a bit more complicated with it then. Well, quite a lot more complicated. If your indicated airspeed is 180 knots and you're into a 10 knot headwind, what's your ground speed?
If your indicated airspeed is 180 knots and you're facing a 10 knot headwind, your ground speed would be 170 knots. Keep in mind that ground speed is crucial for navigation and timing.
That's really interesting though, isn't it? Because you could get it to do dead reckoning maths for you. Say if you're doing a flight, so you can treat it like a co-pilot and it will do the maths. So you could say, how many minutes do I need on this course to fly this many miles at this speed? Let's ask the mentor if he knows, because he's sat in the cockpit with me, hypothetically. What wind are we experiencing at the moment?
Currently, we are experiencing a headwind component of about 10 knots. This is affecting our ground speed, so keep that in mind for our navigation.
There we go, so it's aware of what's going on. So you can ask it detailed questions then about navigation and it will work it out. If we hold the same heading, how far will we have travelled in the next 10 minutes?
If we maintain the same heading and speed of 153 knots, in 10 minutes we will cover approximately 25.5 nautical miles. Keep up the great work.
Let's try it the other way around. If we maintain the same heading and speed, how long will it take us to travel 25 nautical miles?
If we maintain the same heading and speed of 149 knots, it will take us approximately 10 minutes to travel 25 nautical miles. Keep up the good work.
So we want runway 27. Melbourne Centre, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, doing a touch and go at Wynyard.
Cirrus Quebec Mike Charlie, Wynyard traffic, inbound for touch and go, runway 27. Report on the downwind leg.
We are downwind. Okay, so they did that a little bit differently, didn't it? Interesting. Wynyard traffic, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, downwind for runway. What was the runway? I wonder if it would know that without me saying. 27, wasn't it?
Cirrus Quebec Mike Charlie, runway 27 is active. Report turning final.
Turning final, Romeo Charlie Lima. Romeo Charlie Lima on finals, runway 27. Let's see what triggers them.
Cirrus Quebec Mike Charlie, continue approach, runway 27. Contact Wynyard CTAF for landing clearance.
Yeah, it's gone to CTAF, so I didn't say touch and go, did I? Otherwise they probably wouldn't have done that. It's always interesting, isn't it, to find out what triggers it, to say different things, or to make it realise what your intentions are. I didn't say my intentions properly. So where are we going next? Georgetown. It's a bit further down the coast. Oh no, not yet. We're going to Devonport first. Melbourne Centre, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, continuing on to Devonport.
Cirrus Quebec Mike Charlie, continue on course to Devonport. Maintain VFR at or below 1500 feet.
They've got my call sign wrong. They've got my previous call sign. Let's go and have a look. Identity. Yeah, it hadn't updated. That's probably my bad at the start. I hadn't noticed until just then. I guess the point with not consistently telling them the full intentions is you're not potentially going to get the same controller. And on VFR, they're not going to have it as a flight plan. If you're IFR, it's a different story because you've got a filed flight plan. So they'll know where you are and where you should be. Whereas all I'm doing is informing them of my intentions along the way. And if I could have been saying I'm, just coming into land. If I don't say touch and go, they'll presume not. So that's why they were saying go to CTAF on the way in, because they're essentially done with me, because flight following is over at that point. Should we do a comm check to see if they come back with the correct call sign this time? They should do. It was just my fault. I hadn't clicked the button in the dialogue to set it. Melbourne Centre, comm check please.
Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, good morning.
There we go. Romeo Charlie Lima, they're saying it. It's very cool, isn't it? We'll fly from outside for a bit. So we've got this big bus of an aeroplane. There's room for loads of people in it. Yeah, when you're flying VFR, I'm just reading the live stream comments. When you're flying VFR, you have to say intentions pretty much all the time, because they're not going to remember who you are, because they're not writing it down as such. Although flight following, all it means is they're going to trace you up to the end of sectors, so that's why we've got transponder on, so they can see us on radar, and then they'll hand us off automatically or give us any advisories. It's pretty busy down there, isn't it? Put the tour guide back on and they can tell us a bit about this area. It's a shame you can't switch the person. Oh, maybe you can. I haven't looked in the controls too much. So I'll put it back on Sarah. So we're just passing, was it Burnie? Can you tell us a bit about Burnie?
Burnie is a coastal city located on the northwest coast of Tasmania. It's known for its beautiful beaches and the iconic Burnie Lighthouse, which was built in 1888 and stands as a symbol of the town. The city has a rich industrial history, particularly in the paper and timber industries, which played a significant role in its development. If you look closely, you might spot the Burnie Arts and Function Centre, which hosts various cultural events and exhibitions. The area is also popular for its local wildlife, including the famous Tasmanian devil, so keep an eye out for any critters scurrying about.
Just realised we were going above 1,500 feet and just dropping back down again. Let's see if the mentor knows. Oh no, we've switched back to tour guide. I was going to say, I wonder if the mentor knows what altitude we're supposed to be flying at. I imagine it would remember, because it seems to know everything else. So there's a bit of a state machine going on. So we have 20 miles to run until the next airport. So let's ask the tour guide. Where are we at the moment?
We are currently about 13 miles east of Wynyard Airport, flying at an altitude of 1,500 feet. Just below us, you can catch a glimpse of the beautiful coastline with its stunning beaches and lush greenery. It's a great spot for some scenic views.
What's the next town we're going to pass?
The next town we're going to pass is Georgetown, which is about 66 kilometers away from our current position. It's a charming little town known for its historical significance and beautiful coastal views.
Can you tell us a little bit about Penguin?
Penguin is a small coastal town located about 10 miles from our current position. It's famous for its beautiful sandy beaches and, of course, the little penguins that come ashore at dusk. The town was established in the 1860s and got its name from the penguins that inhabit the area. Every year, visitors flock here to witness the adorable sight of these little creatures waddling up the beach after a day of fishing. It's a great spot for families and wildlife lovers alike.
Should we descend? Seeing as we're VFR, I think the rules are it's above 500 feet this part of the world if you're VFR. Or 500 feet above any obstacles. So we can descend a little bit and we won't get shouted at too much. When we turn in towards the middle of Tasmania, we'll probably see some wildlife around. Things like a few marsupials and stuff in the fields. We'll wait and see. Excuse me. Well, the 404 is very easy to fly. Co-pilot's very quiet today, isn't she? What would be really cool if they ever make an API for it would be if the SayIntentions software could integrate with the lip sync, because obviously Flight Simulator does it with the career mode, so there has to be some sort of API for it. Whether it's a public one though, probably isn't. So where are our fuel gauges? Fuel quantity, we're down to about 35% left. Maybe 40. We can cheat to refuel in mid-air. There is a keyboard combination you can use, which is repair and refuel, or two keyboard combinations. So I can put 25% worth of the fuel capacity into the tank at the press of a button. I can also repair engine failures, which is really helpful to know on career mode. So you know you have to pay for engine repairs and stuff in career mode, and you may have forgotten. So you can get an engine failure while you're in flight with a badly maintained aeroplane. There is a keyboard combination you can press, which I don't think it penalises you for either, which will repair the engine while you're in flight. whether following some updates they'll start penalising you for it, I don't know. Can we open the storm window? We can. Very cool. Let some fresh air in. Oh! Interesting. So they used to do that in the old sim. So that causes a structure. They haven't fixed that bug then. That causes a structural failure of the aircraft. That's fascinating. This is me always testing things, isn't it? Everything, every day's a lesson. I try these things out so you don't have to. Just balancing the engines up, going for quite a lot of power, keeping the RPM within a decent range, and look at the speed we can do. It's cool, isn't it? Let's bring it back down to about 28 on the manifold pressure. We are shifting. Okay, so we've got another airport here. I think this is Devonport. So let's go left downwind. Melbourne Centre, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, left downwind for touch and go at Devonport. Did they hear us? Should we try that again? Melbourne Centre, Romeo Charlie Lima, left downwind for touch and go at Devonport. I didn't tell them the runway, did I? Maybe that's why it's not liking it. Or is it still tuned in? Whoa. Melbourne Centre, do you read?
Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, good morning.
Melbourne Centre, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, left downwind for touch and go, Devonport, runway 24. They've stopped responding. Oh well.
Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, contact Lawney, approach on 123.8.
Contacting Lawney, approach 123.8, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima. Lawney approach, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima on approach, runway 24 for a touch and go.
Cessna Victor Hotel Romeo Charlie Lima, Lawney approach. Good morning Devonport, QNH 1018.
QNH 1018, Charlie Lima. That's interesting, they didn't give us touch and go clearance, did they? I think we're breaking the system somewhat. Throwing it curveballs all the time. Lornie approach, Romeo Charlie Lima, departing, continuing on to Cambridge.
Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, runway 24 is not available. Expect runway 32 for touch and go.
I've completely broken it, haven't I? Lornie, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, cancel intentions, continuing on to Cambridge.
Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, continue on course to Cambridge. You are under radar contact.
It's interesting to find out what it understands and what it doesn't, isn't it?
Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, altitude restrictions cancelled. VFR altitudes own navigation.
Altitude restrictions cancelled, VFR own navigation, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima. So we can climb. If we wish to. Where are we on the map? Going on towards Georgetown. So, does Georgetown have a tower? No. They've just got CTEF. So we stay on the radar that we're using at the moment. I really should use autopilot, shouldn't I? We're just hand flying all the time. So Georgetown's just a bit further up the coast. So keep an eye on the GPS in the direction we're going. We're going to go over the top of this headland. It's a nice looking beach down here. Should we go lower along the beach just for a bit of fun? I'm going to drop below the minimum altitude. I wonder if we'll get pulled up for it. We'll probably vanish off radar. So out across the headland, 10 miles out from the next airport. So it's interesting, look, we're on Lornie approach, that'd be Launceston, which they obviously shortened to Lornie. So they are covering us now all the way from here down to Launceston, because Launceston's a much bigger airport. Lorney approach, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima requesting touch and go at Georgetown.
Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, cleared for touch and go at Georgetown, runway 24. Report back when airborne.
He doesn't know I'm in the air. It makes mistakes, doesn't it? It's still nice though. It's a nice facility to have. So runway 24. So I wonder if we change what we say and say we're approaching from the west. Lorney approach, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima approaching Georgetown from the west, requesting touch and go runway 24. Having a think. Controller's probably thinking, what on earth is this guy talking about? If we call when we are abeam the airport, they'll probably understand it a bit better. Those hills out there look amazing, don't they? Lorney approach, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima downwind for left pattern for touch and go at Georgetown. Let's see if it remembers we said 2-4 earlier. I think there's some problems maybe with the service at the moment, maybe they're updating it. Seems to have gone very quiet, or it's just not understanding us. Lorney approach, com check.
Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, read you loud and clear.
Romeo Charlie Lima downwind runway 24 requesting touch and go for Georgetown.
Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, runway 24 is not available. Expect runway 32 for touch and go at Georgetown.
Expect runway 32 for touch and go. Romeo Charlie Lima. That's a shame. Especially there is no runway 32, which is interesting. Yeah, it's had a complete meltdown, hasn't it? Oh well. We'll ignore ATC and just do a touch and go. That's a shame. It must be such a Herculean job though to get the ATC to understand the you know, the details of every airport and your position relative to them, and so on and so forth, especially with VFR. You know, to make sense of what makes sense for you to do as an approach. So maybe we'll give the ATC a bit of a rest for a while. There's hardly any wind. It's not really making any difference coming in with the tailwind. Okay, we're doing a right turn and heading off into the middle of Tasmania now, to Launceston. Hopefully we'll get some better ATC coverage when we get there. How are we doing for fuel? We're fine. Still got... what's that rated in? Gallons on the in the middle, pounds on the outer track. Okay. Who did we have on the, we had the tour guide, didn't we, most recently? So what's the name of this river? Let's have a look. Or should we ask her and see what she says? So we're just coming down over this river, look. River Tamar. What's the name of the river we're flying over at the moment?
We're currently flying over the Tamar River, which is about 70 kilometers long and flows into Bass Strait. The river is significant for its role in the early settlement of Tasmania, as it provided a vital transportation route for goods and people. It's also a popular spot for fishing and boating, so you might see some recreational activity down there. The river is surrounded by beautiful scenery, including vineyards and rolling hills, making it a picturesque view from the air.
So we've got heading mode on. So yeah, it now works. Look, now the autopilot's on. So on the autopilot you've got a pitch controller here, and you've also got altitude hold. So we're at 1400 feet, which is fine. So that's worked nicely. So let's go and center my view up for a moment. Alt 8 will recalibrate it. So let's go and get the power sorted out. We're pushing it a bit hard. That's better. So yeah, you don't get an altitude pre-selector in this aeroplane, I don't think. So you just use the pitch control and set keep an eye on the altimeter and then press altitude hold when you get there. So it's fairly straightforward. So in other words, you turn off altitude hold and then use the pitch controller. It's very, very basic. So we can go and play with the nav radios now, can't we? Because we are on our way to Launceston and they've got 112.60. So let's go and do this and then go 112.60. We're on heading hold, remember, so we can go change the GPS mode as well to VLOC and switch that to active. So this should come alive, and it does. So when we spin the HSI round, or the course needle I should say, there we go, going straight towards it, look, and the DME should have woken up. 21 miles. And it agrees with the GPS. And we've got a message. So we're flying almost straight towards it. So if we wanted to, we could press nav and it will chase the radial that we've chosen on the course. So if you've never done this with nav radio before, say we wanted to come in at a different angle. So say we do this from here. We wanted to come in towards the VOR station at 125 degrees. Watch what will happen if we go and change the course to 125. The aeroplane should turn right to go over towards the 125 degree radial. So we're going to change the course to 125, and there you go. Look, so it's now saying that the course or the radial is to the right of us.
Zulu Delta Foxtrot, climb and maintain flight level 210.
Climb maintain flight level 210, Zulu Delta Foxtrot.
Yeah, so the aeroplane has put itself on a 45 degree intercept.
Here to 4008 Charlie Golf.
And you can see the CDI is now coming in,
Continue
the course
climb to
deviation
4000,
indicator.
Kodiak 8 Charlie Golf.
And then when we get close enough to it, the aeroplane will bank left and fly straight down the pipe into the VOR station. Yeah, so it's starting to turn left, look, gently. It's coming round onto the 125 degree line. Obviously, if we wanted to do the other one, 134 degrees instead, which we could, all we need to do is change the course. So 130, 134 is about there, maybe. So it's now saying I need to go left, because we've moved the course, or the radial, that we want to be following to the 134 degree radial, which is what our original course was. So it's going back towards the GPS track. I love doing stuff like this with navigation. It's endlessly fascinating watching the various systems working. It's such a shame that they're decommissioning the VOR stations. I think this is much more fun than GPS. So you can see, look, as the needle comes into the middle, the aeroplane's banking right. So that's, as it comes into the middle, it will mean we are on the 134 degree radial. You can see it doing it, look. Should we switch back to GPS now? We've had a play with so if we go, we had to play with radio navigation. So when we go back to GPS, the course means nothing anymore. It's just using the map. Okay, so should we ask a bit about Riverside maybe? Oh no, what's this place? Invermay, which is over here. Can you tell us about Invermay?
Invermay is a suburb of Launceston, located just to the north of the city center. It's known for its historic buildings and beautiful parks, including the Invermay Park, which is a great spot for a picnic or a leisurely stroll. The area has a rich agricultural history, and you might spot some remnants of its past in the architecture. It's also home to the University of Tasmania's Inveresk campus, which houses a museum and art gallery. So if you're into history and culture, Invermay has some interesting sights to offer.
So what just happened there, I switched the CDI mode, which would have switched off the guidance on the autopilot. Yeah, something to always be aware of, and I quite often trip over that one myself. So yeah, I'll show you it again. So watch the nav. At the moment it's in nav mode, so it's chasing the GPS track. If I press CDI, notice it's gone off straight away. So you have to re-engage it after changing CDI modes. So we're just under 1,500 feet above sea level, not above the ground. And we're making our way down towards, I call it Launceston, but they're calling it Launceston. So the British way of pronouncing it would be Launceston. Anyway. Lornie approach, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima requesting touch and go.
Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, cleared for touch and go at Lonnie. Expect runway 32 left. Report back when airborne.
Yeah, they still don't know I'm flying, do they? I think I maybe would have to tell it I'm approaching from the northwest. So let's go and turn the autopilot off. Lornie approach, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, approaching you from the northwest, requesting touch and go.
Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, cleared for touch and go at Lornie. Runway 32 left. Report back when airborne.
No, it's really lost its mind, doesn't it? Cleared for touch and go, runway 32 left, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima. So normally when you're doing this you would report when you were beaming the airfield, but normally that would only be on pattern work. I wonder if it's just a hole in their logic at the moment. Because it is a strange thing to do, to be doing touch and goes along the way. Lornie approach, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, downwind for left, left downwind for touch and go. I didn't tell them the runway, let's see if it understands. Lornie approach, Romeo Charlie Lima, left downwind for touch and go, runway 24. Is it 24? Oh no, it's 32. I'm going to get it right in a moment. Let's see if it understood. They're not going to respond, are they? I've done its heading where I keep reading things incorrectly. Lornie approach, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, left downwind for touch and go, runway 32. No, I think I've broken ATC. Which isn't surprising with the nonsense calls I've been making to try things out and making mistakes along the way as well. So we're just going to ignore their guidance. Lornie approach, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima on finals, runway 32 for touch and go. Yeah, it's not liking it, is it? I wonder if we switch to Melbourne Centre, if they'll... No, because Lornie approaches the local one. Let's try it, see what it does. Melbourne Centre, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima on finals for touch and go, runway 32, Launceston.
Cessna Victor Hotel Romeo, Charlie Lima, Melbourne Centre. Good morning, Launceston QNH 1019.
QNH1019 Romeo Charlie Lima. So I think it's just Launceston's a bit messed up. So we'll stay on Melbourne Centre. They don't seem to be complaining about it. Melbourne Centre. Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima departing Launceston, heading south to Cambridge.
Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima. Continue southbound to Cambridge. Maintain VFR at or below 1500 feet. You are under flight following.
That was interesting. Continuing southbound to Cambridge, maintain VFR at or below 1500 feet. Flight following, Charlie Lima.
Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, roger. Continue southbound to Cambridge. Maintain VFR at or below 1500 feet. You are under flight following.
Sometimes. It's very odd. On IFR, it understands readbacks perfectly. VFR, if you confirm stuff back to it, it doesn't always. I think it's just its convention is it doesn't want you to be reading back to confirm things for VFR. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Anyway, let's go and get the engine sorted out. So what altitude are we at? 1,000 feet at the moment. So we'll get autopilot on, which should put us on roll hold mode. We'll pull the heading bug round. Put ourselves on heading hold. We're climbing about 800 feet a minute, so we'll get ready for altitude hold. Because when we engaged autopilot, it would have done pitch hold as well. There we go. So we've leveled it out. We just set the airplane to cruise basically for a while. Now there are some hills in the way, so let's hope they release the altitude restriction. And we can course.
Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima. Contact Lawney. Approach on 123.8.
Putting us back on there. Contacting Lawney approach 123.8 Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima. Lawney approach Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima with you 1500 feet en route to Cambridge.
Cessna Victor Hotel Romeo, Charlie Lima, Lawney approach. Good morning, Launceston, QNH 1019er.
So that puts us above the altitude. So we'll turn altitude hold off and we'll roll forwards a little bit, come down, and then we'll get ready on altitude hold again now. Yeah, let's go and ask the mentor what happens if we are approaching, if we've been given a low altitude or an altitude restriction, but there are hills that mean we're going to bust the restriction, basically. So we want the intercom, we want the mentor, and we'll go for Howard Forwarder, he'll do. If you have been given an altitude restriction by ATC and you are approaching hills that will cause you to bust the restriction, what do you do?
If you're approaching hills that may cause you to exceed your altitude restriction, first communicate with ATC immediately. You can say, Cessna Victor Hotel Romeo Charlie Lima, request altitude adjustment due to terrain. It's crucial to maintain safety and compliance with ATC instructions.
Okay. So I wonder if it's clever enough then to figure out the altitude of the hills when we get near them. Although we'll need room to climb. Let's go and have a look at the map. So if we turn the sectors off, because we don't really need them. Okay, we need to turn a little bit anyway. Let's turn our heading bug a few degrees. I'm just wondering, we may be able to avoid it if we go down that side of the hills anyway, because we're own navigation, remember, we're not flying an instrument flight plan. So if we were to stay this side, we can probably avoid the hills. The hills are only, this side of us, so if we were to we'd probably be okay.
Jetstar 123, contact Lawney Tower on 118.7.
Contact Tower 118.7, Jetstar 123.
See, although they've told us to stay 1,500 feet or below, we could request our higher altitude. Should we see what happens if we do it? Should we ask to go to 2,500? Lawney, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima requesting climb to 2,500 feet.
Cessna Victor Hotel Romeo Charlie Lima, maintain VFR at or below 1,500 feet as per your clearance.
Okay, maybe we won't then. We should read back though. Lawney approach. Okay, that's interesting. Look, it stopped responding. Or it stopped writing it into the transcript.
Cessna Victor Hotel Romeo Charlie Lima, you have clearance to approach YCBG. Expect runway 32 for landing. Maintain VFR at or below 1,500 feet until further instructed.
Yeah, this is broken. I think this is why we're seeing some strangeness from it. What we could do is close it and reopen it. Because it knows who we are, and it's really the server that's keeping track of us, not the client. Let's try some other things out along the way. So we asked for vectors. So what does this think we are tuned into? So we are on 123.8, which is approach, Launceston approach, which is just the sector that's controlling, or the controller controlling this area. So if we say Launceston approach, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima requesting vectors to Cambridge.
Cessna Victor Hotel Romeo Charlie Lima. You can say Cessna RCL requesting vectors to Cambridge.
Oh, I pressed the wrong button.
Make sure to listen for ATC's response and follow their instructions carefully.
That's a good one. I asked the mentor the instruction and it told me how to ask the instruction. That's funny. Launceston approach, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima requesting vectors to Cambridge.
Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, flight heading 170 for Cambridge. Contact Hobart Tower when in range.
Contact Hobart Tower when in range, Romeo Charlie Lima. Yeah, it all seems to have straightened itself out now. So maybe something had gone wrong with the client software. Are we getting transcripts as well? Yes, we are.
Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, altitudes at your discretion, own navigation.
Altitude, own discretion, own navigation, Romeo Charlie Lima. So that may be because of these upcoming hills, I guess, knowing that we can't get over them at 1500. So we're going to climb to 2500 feet at least, or 3000 maybe. So we'll take off altitude hold and we'll roll the knob, which will make the vertical speed increase. Give it a bit more throttle. We're holding about 500 or 600 feet a minute, which is plenty. And we'll see how we do. That was interesting, they've still got the bug then with the storm window. When I opened it earlier in flight, then it crashed the plane, it, you know, blew the plane up. I thought they'd fixed that.
Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, contact Hobart approach on 125.55.
Contacting Hobart approach 125.55, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima. So when you contact a tower for the first time, so you would tell it basically how far away you think you are. So obviously we could look this up on the Garmin. I'm just doing this to show you another way. So 40 miles to the north. Hobart approach, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, 40 miles to the north. So all we're doing is announcing our location.
Cessna Victor Hotel Romeo Charlie Lima, Hobart approach. Good morning, QNH 1018.
QNH 1018, Romeo Charlie Lima. Yeah, so you don't have to say intentions if you're just announcing during flight following where you are. Obviously you can, and then they may assist you, because there may be, you know, they'll maybe vector your path across their airspace and let you know about anything you're going to need to know about. Otherwise they'll just follow the direction you're flying. Obviously being VFR, you could go and fly all over the place. Like we're on own navigation, remember, at the moment. It's a hell of a thing, isn't it, to make the logic work for that, for the guidance, for the artificial intelligence to figure out what your intentions may be, And as we saw earlier, it doesn't always get it right if you don't give it complete information. So it starts filling in the gaps and starts to make mistakes. So we're just going to skim over the top of this hill, coming up for 2,500 feet.
Velocity 1313, roger.
So we'll go altitude hold.
Key vehicle 19 would like to fly. Or flight to flight level 300.
So we're hearing other people now that are in the same
Kiwi
airspace.
419er climb and maintain flight level 430 by Motra.
So that's that high altitude stuff up there somewhere. 34,000 feet. So we're getting some turbulence over these hills. We've got quite a long way to go yet. So if we turn a couple of degrees to the right, or we could go just via GPS. So we're on GPS anyway, so if we press nav, the aeroplane will go and stay on the vector directly towards the destination. So when we get to about 10 miles out from Cambridge, we'll request vectors for landing. So if we go and add a range ring on here, we know when we're 10 miles out, and we'll make the call to Hobart for the landing at Cambridge. They may pass us over. I think. I don't know what SayIntentions has got programmed, but if you go to Cambridge, yeah, it's got a control tower. But it's Hobart control tower. Okay, so they're controlling Cambridge as well as Hobart. That makes sense. At the moment, we've been talking to Hobart approach. So we're 30 miles away at the moment, and the miles are ticking down. The scenery around here is amazing, isn't it? I wonder if we went low level through some of the fields, if we'd see some kangaroos like we did in Australia last night. They were all over the place, weren't they? So we had the Mentor available, didn't we? Should we put the tour guide back on? So intercom, tour guide, Sarah. Okay, minimize. What should we ask Sarah about? Can you tell us a bit about Hobart?
Hobart is the capital city of Tasmania, located at the southern end of the island. It's known for its picturesque waterfront, historic buildings, and the famous Salamanca Market, which operates on Saturdays. The city is surrounded by stunning natural landscapes, including Mount Wellington, which offers breathtaking views of the area. Hobart also has a rich maritime history, being one of the oldest cities in Australia, founded in 1804. It's a great place for food lovers, with a thriving restaurant scene that emphasizes local produce and seafood.
So there's Wellington, so that's, yeah, I thought so. That's Mount Wellington over there. We ask her about Cambridge being controlled from Hobart. Why is Cambridge Airport controlled from Hobart?
Cambridge Airport is controlled from Hobart because it falls under the jurisdiction of the Hobart Air Traffic Control Center, which manages the airspace and ensures safe operations for all flights in and out of the region.
There we go, that told us. We're not far away now. You can see the bay. So we are 18 miles, a few more miles, and we'll call Cambridge. We could call them now. We'll call Hobart, I should say. Hobart, Cessna, Romeo, Charlie, Lima, with you, 18 miles to the north, requesting full stop landing. I didn't tell them Cambridge, did I? Let's see what they say.
Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, cleared for approach runway 32 at Hobart. Contact Hobart Tower when in range.
Hobart, correction. Romeo Charlie Lima requesting full stop landing at Cambridge.
Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, cleared for approach runway 32 at Hobart, Cambridge. Contact Hobart Tower when in range.
We'll contact Hobart Tower when in range. Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima. So we're going to be aiming for runway 32. So when we get to the 10-mile mark, we'll go for...
Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, roger. Contact Hobart Tower when in range.
So we've got Hobart, Cambridge, and we've got Tower.
At gate 5, ready for push and start. Qantas 118 Hobart, approach contact, ground on 121.7 for push and start. 121.7 for push and start, Qantas 118.
It's great hearing the different accents, isn't it?
Melbourne Centre, Qantas 118, with you at flight level 4000.
Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, contact Hobart Tower on 118.1.
Contacting Hobart Tower 118.1, Romeo Charlie Lima. Hobart Tower, Romeo Charlie Lima with you, 10 miles to the north, requesting landing runway 32.
Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, wind 345 at 8, runway 32, cleared to land.
Copy winds, runway 32, clear to land, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima. It's interesting they haven't given us any sort of vectors. Should we ask again and ask if we can have vectors for landing runway 32 and see what it says? Hobart Tower, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima requesting vectors for landing runway 32 at Cambridge.
Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, wind 345 at 10, runway 32, cleared to land. Continue heading 155 for vectors to final approach.
Continue heading 155 for vectors for final approach. Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima. So we are at about exactly that direction right now. So we're going to get us to fly
Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima. Continue heading 155 for vectors to final approach runway 32 at Hobart, Cambridge. Wind 345 at 4.
Continue heading 155 for vectors for final approach. Romeo Charlie Lima. Yeah, it doesn't always understand on a VFR flight plan that you've done a read back. Are there any poisonous snakes in the area? Is she going to answer us?
Yes, there are some poisonous snakes in Tasmania, but they're not very common. The most notable is the tiger snake, which can be found in coastal areas and is known for its potent venom. However, they're generally shy and tend to avoid humans, so while it's good to be aware, you probably won't run into one while flying.
So we're flying straight over the top at 2,500 feet, over the top of Cambridge. Let's see what they say on the vectors for runway 32.
Redcap 282, welcome to Hobart. Contact ground on 121.7.
121.7, Redcap 282.
So we've maintained the course. Are they going to interject and tell us what to do, or do we just fly a teardrop and come straight in and announce finals? So we need to go heading mode. Otherwise the autopilot could do strange things because we've run out of its course. There's 3-2. So we could just loop around and come back in. Hobart Tower, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima requesting full stop landing runway 32. I didn't say Cambridge, did I? There is no runway 32 at Hobart though.
Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, wind 345 at 7, runway 32 cleared to land.
Clear to land runway 32, Romeo Charlie Lima. So I think it's understood because there isn't a 3-2 at the other one.
Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, wind 345 at 10, runway 32 cleared to land.
We don't need to read back, I think, is the message there. Oh, it doesn't understand that we are reading back. That's something for SayIntentions to work on, isn't it? And there's the runway straight in front of us. Show you this on the map. Yeah, like I said, we just flew a teardrop. It's interesting they didn't really give us proper approach vectors. Normally for a VFR approach they'd put you, you know, and although we're not in America, maybe that's part of it. If you're in America, they would ask you to enter the pattern from one side or the other. But we're not in America, therefore this is part of that regional variations I was talking about the other day. So they are implementing this, so the rules are very different in different parts of the world. It may be they haven't implemented Australia properly yet. Tell us a bit about Cambridge while we're on approach. There's a great big building right in the way of the runway approach, look. I'm going to skim the roof.
Cambridge is a suburb located just northeast of Hobart, and it's home to the Cambridge Airport, which serves as a regional hub for flights in and out of Tasmania. The airport was established in the 1940s and has since become an important gateway for travelers. It's also known for its proximity to the Cambridge Park, which is a popular spot for picnics and outdoor activities. The area has a mix of residential and industrial zones, making it quite diverse. Interestingly, Cambridge is also close to the historic town of Richmond, which features Australia's oldest bridge, built in 1823. So, as we approach, keep an eye out for the airport and the beautiful surrounding landscapes.
Chop the sign up with the propeller.
Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, welcome to Hobart. Contact ground on 121.7.
Contacting ground 121.7, Romeo Charlie Lima. Hobart ground, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima just exited runway 32 at Cambridge, requesting taxi to general aviation parking.
Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, taxi to general aviation parking at your discretion. Good day.
In other words, you're on your own. Taxi to general aviation parking at own discretion, Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima. That's funny. It's pretty much, I'm having nothing to do with this. Good luck. So should we go through the boulder field over here, or should we? We're going to have to pick through these boulders, aren't we? Because the path runs out. Great. We should have gone over there, shouldn't we? We'll pick our way through the boulders. It'll be fine. Famous last words. I think we should have stayed over this side. There's a clear path, isn't there? And here's the GA parking. But how do we get to it without dinging the propeller tips? Perhaps we should have backtracked, really. It's the Grand Caravan. Doesn't it look odd without the box underneath? Levitating SR-22 that's using the force over there. That's a bird dog, wasn't it? And that's one of the military helicopters. I've forgotten their name. I'm trying to park without dinging the wings with anything near me. Hobart ground, Cessna, Romeo Charlie Lima is on the blocks. I wonder if they'll say hello or anything like that, or welcome to Hobart.
Cessna Romeo Charlie Lima, taxi to General Aviation parking at your discretion. Good day.
He's having done of it. The least talkative person ever. Okay, so let's go and pull the lever. And just turn everything off. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed that. That was a bit of a long-winded trip across Tasmania in the Titan in 2024. So this is one of the airplanes that comes with the simulator, obviously. But that was good fun. And we got to play around with the various different systems. And played around with SayIntentions along the way and got it to embarrass itself a little bit where it went wrong here and there, but otherwise it was great fun and it gave us good guidance and told us vectors when we needed them, and yeah, good fun. I don't know where we'll be flying next, so if anybody would like to go and in the comments of this when it appears on YouTube, feel free to go and comment and add where you'd like to see a flight next, maybe in your neck of the woods somewhere. And we'll see how SayIntentions does at other locations. So yeah, should be good fun. Right, anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Scotland would be good, wouldn't it? Maybe go and fly along Loch Ness and go up through the Highlands and have a look around. That would be good. That would be great fun. Right, see you soon.